In this video, what we're going to do is we are going to use some different methods that give us the ability to alter our string variables. So call this program string alt, and then as you can see, I've already included the scanner import. I've created a scanner object, and I've created a menu of different choices that we're going to have. So if you want to pause the video, you can copy down this initial menu, and then you're ready to continue on with the programming. So in order to create this, we're going to have a variable that the user is going to enter for which choice they're making. They're going to create a string, and then we're going to make a bunch of alterations in a loop until they decide that they're done, that they're going to quit. So at the top, we'll need a couple variables here. We'll need a flag variable because they're going to enter a 0 to quit the loop. And they'll need another integer for the selection that they're going to make. Now for the strings that we're going to need, we need a string user text. There we go. And that's what they're going to enter. So what we're going to do is start this off with just a prompt for the string that they want to use. So system.out.println. Let's say welcome to the string alterator, let's say 3000. Seems pretty advanced. Then we'll prompt them. Now I'm going to do the prompt a little bit differently than I normally do. Normally what I would do is leave a print here so that they can write at the end of the line, but maybe they've got a lot of text, so I'm going to do it this way. So enter the string you would like altered, and then I'm going to specify below so that they know where they're going to be entering that. And I'm not going to put a colon here, but I want to get an extra line, so I'm going to put a \n here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my print, system.out.print, and then this one is just going to have a colon and a space, and then I'm going to have my user text is going to get the value of input.next line, which is what we use for entering strings. Okay, now we're ready to start our loop. So we'll make this a do loop. At the bottom, we'll keep going while the selection does not equal the flag. Now, what you really need to do every time that you apply a loop to a piece of code that you already have coded is to select all of those lines, and virtually any development environment you're going to use has this feature where you can select them and hit the tab key and move it in. It used to be that old, word processors, if you tried that, it would delete them and then just leave you with a tab. But modern ones should be able to handle this kind of process. So what we're going to do, first thing in our loop, we're going to have our selections here. And then we will have selection gets the value of input.nextInt. Okay. Now we'll do a couple really simple ones just to kind of get this started. We're going to handle the uppercase and lowercase. So if the selection is 1, then what we're going to do is user text is going to get the value of user text dot to uppercase. And otherwise, else if selection equals 2, then user text is going to get the value of user text dot to lowercase. And then at the bottom here, every time they make an update, we're going to display to them what their updated string is. So system.out.println, we're going to say altered string, and then we'll say plus user text. There we go. Okay, so let's see what happens here, and you're going to see something interesting that you might not have expected. It's a bit of a problem. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter the string that I would like altered. I'm just going to throw a hello world in here. And I'm going to make my selection. Let's go to uppercase. So I'm going to say lowercase. Okay. And everything actually works fine so far. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we'll cause a bit of a problem here, and we're going to handle 2 cases of replace here. So replace first and replace all. So in order to do this, we need a few extra string variables. So we're going to say string old text. This is what we're going to be replaced. So this is going to be replace, and then string new text is going to replace it. Okay. So now, because in both of these situations, what we're going to want to do is we are going to need 2 pieces of text from them, the old one and the new one. We can actually cover both of them in the same if statement. So if the selection is 3 or the selection is 4, we're going to do the following. So system.out.print enter string to replace. So what this is going to do is it's going to go into our string, and it's going to replace something that's already there with something that is new. So the old text is going to become input.next line. And then I am going to enter the string to replace it with. And this is going to be new text. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to handle both of these scenarios. So if the selection is 3, we're going to word it like this. So user text is going to get the value. Might run out of space here. So user text dot replace first. And then it needs 2 parameters. Old text, which is what it is replacing, comma, new text, which is what it's replacing it with. And then I'm going to do the same thing, except if the selection was 4, then I'm going to replace all. So let's see what's going to happen here. I'll run this. Okay, enter the string we would like altered. So I'm going to put in hello world again, and then hit enter. Okay, let's say I want uppercase, and then I want lowercase. So you can see it's currently lowercase. Now what I want to do is I want to do a replace. So I'm going to hit 3. So take a look at what happened here. It says enter string to replace. And it didn't even give me the opportunity to enter something and then enter the string to replace it with. So I'm going to just say, I don't know, I'm going to put a P here. And then what it seemed to do was replace nothing with P, and then it puts it at the beginning. So something happened here, and I'll try and explain that in the code. Okay. So our problem here comes from this input.nextInt. I better stop my program. So next int, let's say it leaves a \n in the input stream. So what it does is it takes the number out, but when you physically hit enter, that is kind of rattling around. So what happens here is you enter a number, it stores it in selection, but then when it gets to this line of code, it already has a \n recorded, and it thinks, oh, the user just hit enter, so I'm going to store nothing and then move on to the next one, which is really odd. But there's a quick fix that'll handle this only when you have to switch between entering numbers and entering text. So here's my quick fix for that. At the top of the program, we can do something like this. I am going to split my input object into two objects. Input num for inputting numbers, and input text for inputting text. So what's going to happen here is anytime I want to use next line, I am going to put input text.nextLine. So it's going to be using the input text object. When we do next int, I put in input num. So what's going to happen is input num is going to store the number and then put it into selection. Read the number, put it into selection. And this \n isn't going to matter because it's going to come back here. Yeah, there's extra junk in the input num object, but next int doesn't care about that, so we don't have to worry about it. And then again, so every time we do a next line, we want to use our input text, not input num. Okay, so now when we run this, here's how it works. I've got my hello world. I'll do what I did before. Let's do uppercase. I'll bring it back to lowercase. Now what I want to do is I want to do my replace. So I'm going to do, now it gives me the option to enter the string to replace. And let's say I want to replace an L with a W. So what you're going to do is replace first, which is 3, only replaces the first time that it shows up. If we replace all, that's a 4. I want to replace, say, all of the O's with A's. And then you'll see that it will replace all of them. Okay, so the last thing that I want to do here is I want to put in a trim, and I'll show you what that does, and it's going to be really useful later on when we're really messing up our strings. So else if selection equals 5, our user text is going to get the value of user text dot trim. So I'll show you what this does. This is really useful in a lot of scenarios where we're doing a lot of alterations with our strings. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a space here at the beginning and then type in hello world. And then I'm going to hit enter. So I'm going to do uppercase. So you can see this space still exists here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it. 5. And you can see it got rid of the space. So this is super useful for a lot of places where you care about the words but not the spaces in between them. You can even make this so that when somebody's logging into a computer, if they accidentally hit the space bar before they type in their password, you can trim that out and then just read the text. So really useful for some other scenarios. So in this video, we learned how to alter the strings, but also this really important trick to get around the issue that we have when we're switching between inputting numbers and then inputting text.